Welcome, guys. Welcome. Saturday, we're doing a live webinar on the AutoBody survival guide. So this basically, if you own a automotive shop, uh, I think personally, I think that any kind of business that you have, any business this is gonna relate to any kind of business. But I like to focus on the body shop industry, the automotive industry, because that's the industry that I'm in. And so a little bit about myself. Grew up out with a single mom. Uh, my dad passed away when I was 4 years old, and we moved to a big city. And I was very bad on my education, behavior. You know, got in a lot of trouble growing up, and and I was really labeled at a young age as someone that was going to be a failure or not get very far. Uh, it wasn't until about maybe ninth grade I ended up having twin boys at the age of 15, and I didn't have them, but I was the father of twin boys at the age of 15, and it drastically changed my life. And that moment, moving forward, I had to make a decision of what I was going to do with my life, because now I was responsible for two babies that I had to raise, that I had to take care of, that I had to protect, and I had a lot of weight on my shoulders at a young age. And so I worked a bunch of different jobs, and I really couldn't find my place in the work environment because I always struggled, right? And so it wasn't until I got a job at a dealership as a porter in the service department, right? Worked there for several years. Would get in a lot of trouble. I was always late, and the boss, he was gonna fire me, and he's like, I felt it coming. I got written up several times, and so right across the street was our body shop. It was a Cadillac dealership. And I remember I went to the body shop and I asked the guys in the paint shop, I said, "Hey man, are y'all hiring by any chance? Man, I want to get a transfer. I really want to learn the body shop stuff." And they're like, "Man, go talk to the boss. Maybe he'll hire you because we need help." Long story short, I got the job, and I told them that I had a little bit of experience of detailing and buffing, and which I didn't, but I really wanted to get the job. And so whenever they hired me, I just committed to try to learn everything I could about the body shop industry. I started off, like I said, as a porter. I started detailing. I started color sanding and buffing. Then I got into like the mixing the paint. I started painting little parts. I got into bodyman's helper. I started doing body work, and it started just to progress from there, right? Uh, Moving forward, I had a vehicle that I wanted to paint, and so I said, "Man, I'm gonna try to paint this thing myself," right? And so what I did was a buddy of mine, he's like, "Hey, I know how to paint." He was an older gentleman. He knew how to paint, and let me fix his camera real quick. He knew how to paint, and so he's like, "Hey, buy the material, and I'll paint it for you." And I was like, "All right, you got it. Let's do it." So I went and bought all this material, and this guy. Let me fix his camera real quick. The guy, man, he knew what he knew what he was doing. My camera's not focused right here. He knew what he was doing, but I kind of worked in the body shop every day, all day, and so I knew kind of the things that he was doing that weren't really that good, right? And so anyway, long story short, we ended up painting my vehicle. We painted a candy, and we actually had to redo it, and I learned a lot because man, it was a mess, right? Anyway, so then I started to do a little bit more custom work, and I got really good at doing custom work, and I opened up my own custom shop, and I was known as one of the top painters in Texas. And I was doing that. I thought I had a successful business, but it wasn't until I got a little bit more involved with business that I realized I didn't have a business. I've had the opportunity to working with beside like and being coached by some of the best mentors and coaches, man. I mean, from Brian Tracy to, you know, man, who else? Patrick with David, uh, you know, Mike Coffey, uh, this the list is goes on and on, man. I mean, I've had the opportunity to work with so many people. Kay Wakeman, uh, man, just it's Brian Tracy. I don't know if I mentioned Brian Tracy, Tim Story, Elena Cardone. Uh, you know, these mentors and these coaches have gave me so much knowledge and so much information that I've applied to my business, right? And so over the years, we've been able to open several businesses, from real estate investing to the collision shop to uh, residential to the coaching platform to mentorship platform to we have the alliance group. Like we have all these multiple things that we're able to do based on that knowledge. And so my mission and my goal is to really share the knowledge that I've gotten and what I've learned from my experiences and my setbacks to give to other people, because I really feel that people and sometimes are in a place that they don't feel like they can get out of that place. And really what it comes down to is information. You can be in a you can be in a very bad spot right now, in a very bad place in life, financially, mentally, your family, like environment. And it just takes a small amount of information to really change your perspective moving forward. And the reason why I say this is because it's happened to me and I've seen it happen to other people around me by information that I've shared with them, resources that I've gave them, enlightenment. Hey, have you thought about this? Have you learned about this? Have you read about this? Have you heard about this guy? Have you watch this video, watch this podcast, listen to this podcast. Hey, I want to share some tips with you that might help you get ahead. And so these little things have given me and other people like aha moments, right? And so I feel like it's my obligation and it's my responsibility to not hoard this information, but to share it with people, because I want to see people get ahead. Because I remember at one point, I felt like the world was against me. I felt like I didn't have no one to turn to. I felt like I didn't have no one to trust. I felt like I had nothing. I had nothing. And it wasn't until I was exposed to information, and the information just gave me a different way of thinking. It gave me a different path. It opened different doors, bigger doors. It got me into different environments, and it's led me into a positive place. And I feel like it's my responsibility and obligation to give that back, right? So today's webinar is really about giving y'all information about the business structure and surviving. It's a survival guide on the automotive industry. And it's a few things that I felt that will benefit you moving forward, with whether you're looking to transition to a new business, start a business, existing business, or whatever the case. This stuff's gonna give you information, right? So I'm gonna start off by saying number one is gonna be what business are you really in, right? And so a lot of us are in the automotive industry. Someone might be watching this. It's in a completely different industry. Maybe they're plumbing, HVAC, carpentry, pool service, insurance, whatever the case. This applies to any business, because business has a certain foundation that applies to all different industries, right? So what business are you really in? And so I asked this question, and something you might want to ask yourself. And what business are we really in? Because if you're like, well, you know what, we sell XYZ, well, then you become like a commodity. You become competitive, because what you're selling, the other person can sell for a cheaper price. And so now it's commodity. So now you have to figure out, okay, what business are we really in? And so I'm going to give you an example of what we feel like the business that we're in, right? Because look, we're in the auto collision industry. And most people say, oh, well, you just fix cars. You just fix cars. Well, no, we're not in the, we fix cars, yes, but we're also in the problem solving business. We're also in the, the negotiation business. We're also in the self improvement business. We're in the business of taking care of this client, because whenever they bring their vehicle to you or they bring it to us, you know it's your responsibility to make sure that you're providing them with the best information and the best repair, and the best solution to solve their problem. You understand? So you're not just fixing a car. So you have to figure out, okay, what makes our business better than anybody else? What do we do better than anybody else? And so you have to take some time and discover that. You have to say, okay, what do we do better than anybody else that we can kind of use that to make our business stand out? It can be, you're good with creating relationships, you're good on the communication process, you're good at following up with those people, you're good at making sure that their experience is just world class, because that will set you apart. That will set you apart from your competition. And so how are you connecting with these people, right, when they come in? A lot of times, whenever you're in like, we're in the automotive industry, right? So you can say you fix cars, but I feel like we're in the people business. Like, we're people come to us because they're at an obstacle in life. They're at an obstacle because their routine has been disrupted. Like their routine to work, their family, all that has been disrupted. And so they come to us because they feel we have a solution. And if you don't have the information and a proper solution, you're going to make their experience worse. Your job is not just to fix the car. Your job is to make sure that whenever they hire you to solve this obstacle, that you do the best job possible. And how do you do the best job possible? Is you do the best job possible by understanding what the problem is. All right. So, for example, if someone gets in an accident, right, and you're gonna ask questions. Hey, is this your first accident? Do you have other forms of transportation? You have kids, and so you want to make sure that you're giving them information that's going to guide them through this. So you're almost a guide. You're almost a guide. You're going to guide them through this obstacle. And so repairing the vehicle is only one part of the obstacle. You see, there's other parts of the obstacle that you're going to have to assist with, and you got to make sure that you have that information, and you got to make sure that, hey, if we're going to do this job, we got to make sure that we're prepared to do it, right? For example, someone brings you their car, you're going to ask them, okay, are you going to need a rental car? Yes, I'm going to need a rental car. Okay, let me kind of guide you through that process. You might want to check what your daily limit is, because if you have kids, it might be an issue if you have car seats, because they might give you a compact car, a car. And so if it's the other party's insurance, you got to make sure you communicate that with them. Hey, you know what? I have kids. I have to carry stuff. I can't use a compact car. I'm gonna need something bigger. So that way you can combine with that, right? You want to be very clear with them on the process of start to finish, right? And I always like to share, hey, you know what? The process is to get I always like to share the experience of like going to a doctor, right? I tell the clients, I said, look, whenever you go to the emergency room, the doctor doesn't see you right there and then. They gotta create a file for you. They gotta check your vital signs. They gotta see if you have insurance company. They have to get a copy of your driver's license. They have to, make a file for you, document everything that they need to move forward. I go, it's the same thing with the repair. So we get the car in, we have to scan it, we have to take photos of it, we have to figure out, what insurance is involved, what does the insurance need to move forward, and then, okay, is there a third party involved? And we try to share all that information with them, and so we're guiding them through this process of what to expect. Okay, the next thing is like, okay, well, the adjuster is going to come out. And so if you're in the body shop industry, you know that, most estimates are going to be way below what they should be, right? And so if they're way below, now you got to figure out how you're going to overcome that obstacle. You don't want to be calling the client every 5 minutes and say, hey, the insurance doesn't want to do this. The insurance doesn't want to do that. You got to, as an owner, you got to figure out how you're going to overcome those obstacles within. They're trusting you to solve that problem, right? One thing that check this out. So look, just imagine, right? Just imagine that you're hiring someone to remodel your bathroom and put new floors in your house, right? Because your floor's rotted out, maybe your shower's leaking, right? And so because your floor, you need a new floor, your shower, you can't, your shower's out of commission. So you want to find someone that can do the job, right? And so you can say, okay, let me find out who's going to do the cheapest, fix the restroom, like the cheapest, right? So someone that does it the cheapest is probably not going to care about anything else. They're probably not going to care about time. They're probably not going to care about, if they make a mess. They're probably not going to care about, if they damage anything. They're just going to get it for cheap, right? And so now they're not guiding you through the problem. They're making the problem worse because they're more of a commodity. Okay. But just imagine if you hire a contractor, someone that says, hey, you know what? Let me go in and let me assess the problem here. Okay. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Okay. We're going to have to replace these floors. And in order to replace these floors, we're going to have to move all this furniture out. Do you have any, valuable furniture that is very delicate, or do you have anything that that we should be aware about? Okay. Also, too, the restroom, that's going to take us about a week. Is this the only shower y'all have? Do y'all have somewhere to stay? And they're kind of probing to figure out the best solution for this job, right? And so at the end of the day, you're going to feel more comfortable doing business with that guy because he's touching on all the issues. He's really getting down to every obstacle that's going to come along with this problem. And that's going to create a better experience. And so you want to do that with your clients. Whenever your client comes in, you want to figure out, okay, what is their situation? What are they going through? How can we help them beyond just fixing their car? What information can we share with them? What other resources can we give them? You understand? You want to give them access to all your resources as well, because that's going to help them feel more comfortable with you. It's going to make them gain trust with you. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen is they're going to become advocates for your business. So every client, you want to remember, every client has an average of 3 to 4 referrals annually from one client. So remember that you don't want to be a commodity business where you're just fixing cars. You don't care about anything else. You want to make sure that you're adding so much value to these people that they're gonna appreciate. You're giving them more value than what they ever expected. You're saying you're not only handling their obstacle, you're actually guiding them, and you're taking them along the way, and you're educating them on the way, and you're saying, you know what, you have not, we're professionals here. We've gone down this road. We've experienced all these obstacles already. These obstacles are just baby things. You understand? And you want to make them feel so comfortable with your organization that they're gonna start to say, you know what, man, this guy, like, he just knows his stuff. Like, it's kind of like it's funny because I like to say, like, we've all experienced like what is that those clinics called, like urgent care clinic, right? Where you're feeling sick and you're like, man, I'm gonna go to the urgent care clinic. For example, a couple of months back, my wife had something on her arm, or like a rash or something. So she needs to go to the doctor. And so she's like, man, I'm just gonna go to the urgent clinic and see what they tell me, right? So she went, it was like $200 or something like that. She goes, man, the doctor didn't even see me for not even a couple of seconds. He came in, okay, I'm gonna prescribe this, and he was out. Right. And so the experience was like a quick fix. Like it wasn't it was a quick fix, but it really didn't solve the actual obstacle. It didn't stop. It didn't. He didn't probe to figure out what the pain point was and figure out what was really going on to kind of have a real solution and kind of guide her through the process, right? But just imagine if she would have went to a specialist. He would have said, okay, you know what? He would have asked her 100 questions. Have you done this? Have you thought about this? Does this run your family? Okay, we're gonna take blood work, and so he's gonna guide her through that process. It's gonna be a way better experience. So you almost want to be a specialist, okay? You almost want to be a specialist within your industry. And whenever you become a specialist and you become, the leading authority in your industry, then people are gonna respect you as that, as a leading authority, and you're gonna be able to kind of bring in more work with that. Okay. Uh, the second thing I want to share with on is are you are okay, it's called listen to myself. It's called a connection statement, right? So a connection statement is going to be very powerful for your business because it's going to save you a lot of time, money, and mental energy. I always talk about the threes. Uh, so whenever you're in business, whenever you run a business, whenever you're starting a business, you always want to consider these three things, right? It's going to be uh, money, time, and emotional energy. Whenever you're dealing with a client, a customer, you always want to look at these three things. Okay, how much money is this guy going to cost me? How much time? And how much emotional energy, right? And so a connection statement is going to be very important. And what a connection statement is basically uh, what that person is expecting. For example, like if someone comes in and says, "Hey, I'm looking to get my car fixed. I'm trying to, I'm trying to go the cheapest way out. If I don't, I know the fender's wrecked and I know it needs a headlight, but I just want to replace the headlight and, just try to straighten the hood and you don't have to paint it. Uh, just give me something that I can get to and from work, right?" And basically what they're saying is they're saying, "Hey, you know what? Like just cut corners and get it looking decent, and I'm okay with that, right?" And so there's shops that will operate like that, and they'll be like, "All right, cool, yeah, no problem. We'll put some screws on it, and we'll just kind of put the headlight and we'll put some ratchet straps on it. I mean some tie straps on it, and you'll be good to go, right?" And they might make good business like together, right? But if you're the type that don't like to cut corners, if you're the type that says, "Hey, you know what? Like, I don't have time to be cutting corners and doing all these little tricks because it's time consuming and it's exhausting. And at the end of the day, the client is not going to be happy. Like most of the time, clients that they want something for free, or they just kind of keep pushing. Hey, can you do this? What about this? Can you add this on there? And maybe don't charge me taxes. And what if I pay you cash? And they're trying to do all these things. They're never going to be satisfied because they always want to take, and you're never going to be able to please that person. It's going to waste a lot of energy. So you got to be clear, okay? And there's nothing wrong with telling clients, "Hey, you know what? This is not in line of what we do here. I'm sorry, but this is not in line what we do." For example, we don't do a lot of rust repair, and the reason why we don't do a lot of rust repair is because we know it's not going to last. We know it's going to come back. We know that they're not going to pay to get it done the right way, where like it needs a whole panel replacement. They just want a quick fix on it, and we don't do that. And the reason why we don't do that is because you know yes, it might be a quick little job where you can, make a couple, maybe $1,000 on it or something, but that job's gonna come back in a couple months, and they're gonna be like, hey, what kind of warranty do I have? Or hey, the paint's peeling, or hey, I read online that the rust shouldn't come back this soon, and so they're gonna come back with all these, little theories, and and they're gonna cause more problems. So basically, the connection statement is like for example, like we stand for, like I have our statement here, right? So we stand for integrity, honesty. We're knowledge based. We're trustworthy. We don't cut corners. Uh, we do it right the first time. If it's our fault, we fix it. If we mess something up, we're gonna fix it. And so we believe all these things. Like this is what we believe in as a company. So when someone comes and says, hey, can you do this? Can you just put a strap on there, or can you just not, if it needs to be blended, can you not just blend it and just paint the door? I'll be fine with it. We'll say no, we can't do that, because we know at the end of the day, if they're trying to cut corners and we're not trying to cut corners, our beliefs are different. And so if we're not aligned, it's going to create conflict. That's where conflict comes from. When two people have different beliefs, they want their expectations are completely different, and they try to align. You're not going to align those beliefs. The other day we're at a luncheon, and we got into the topic about religion, and it was religion is a good example, right? Because if you ever get in like a debate or a conversation about religion, and this is the same thing that you have to approach with your clients, right? So we had one guy that was really, by the Bible, and we had one guy that was really curious. The guy that was curious was really curious, and he had a belief in science. This guy had a belief in the word. Okay, so there was no way that they were going to get aligned. So just imagine if this guy wanted to cut corners and this guy, did everything by the book, and they try to do business together. There's no way they're going to have good business. It's always going to end up in a mess. And so that's what most businesses fell on. They want to do business with everybody, but not everybody is going to be aligned with what your business stands for. And so look, when you get clear on what your business stands for and what they believe, then you can start to focus on customers that believe the same thing as you, and your business runs a lot smoothly. Because if you're the type that says, what we'll take anybody in, it doesn't matter, I've seen people say, well, no job is too big or no job is too small. So basically what you're saying is like, you're gonna be up and you're gonna be down, and mostly your clientele's gonna be like this, because some people want it cheap, some people want it high, some people want it cheap, and so you're gonna be fighting with the cheap, and you're gonna be like good with the high, and you're gonna be back and forth. So you gotta find what you stand for, what your business believes in, and stand by that and communicate that with your clients and says, hey, you know what? Like we don't offer this. I'm sorry we couldn't help you, but maybe this person can help you. Maybe this shop can help you. Like for example, we don't do a lot of complete paint jobs because we know they're time consuming. We know that you're gonna run into problems. You know that they're gonna want something extra. They're gonna want something extra. They're gonna want something extra, and it's gonna delay time, and your time window is very small. And so it's not aligned with what we're doing. So we turn those down. Says, you know what, we would love to do it, but unfortunately, like we're not doing completes. And the reason why we're doing completes is because our production line is kind of at a faster pace. These vehicles take up a lot of space, and there's a lot of tedious details that go involved with those. To do a complete, it takes a good amount of time, and we hate to kind of commit to a time and then it extends, and then you're upset because you don't understand, and so it gets confusing. So we're not doing that, right? And so that's one thing that we don't do. So I know this was a quick webinar, but I want to get on and just share these things with y'all. I have a whole other list. I can go into this as well. I think this is gonna be very important. I have 5 things. I'm gonna share with you 3, and then I'll do a follow up webinar on the other 2 if that's okay. Or if you want to reach out to me, and I'll send you the link to the new webinar that we're gonna have, or you can catch it here on YouTube. But the other one's gonna be your structure and your systems, right? So earlier in my business career, I never was focused on the structure or the system, because I always thought that it'll kind of work its way. I kind of felt that it would just kind of work by itself, right? That was the dumbest thing I could have thought, because nothing's gonna happen by itself unless you start to build some momentum to create it. And so let's go into systems. Let's go into structure really quick, right? So structure is gonna be they're typically most business owners, they'll start a sole proprietor, right? Where their name is actually the name on the they have a DBA, doing business as. So it's like John Doe doing business as John's Paint and Body, right? Or John's Mechanic Shop, or John's Plumbing, or John's Electric, or John's uh flooring, John, whatever, right? So it's your name and then a DBA under the business, right? So basically what that means is that you're just that's the name of the business, but it's you're the owner of it, and your social security number is a tax ID number for that. So your social security number is the one of the business. So you're connected to the business 100%, right? So because you're connected to the business so tightly, that means that anything that happens within the business, you're responsible. That means that if you own the business 100%, and your social security number is on the business, that means that anything that happens in the business, you're responsible. So that means any accidents or any lawsuits, that means you're responsible as the owner. Okay. And so that also means that if your business is doing well and you're using the money from your business to buy assets, maybe you have a rental house, maybe you have a nice car, maybe you have some money saved, right? So because that business is so entwined with your name, now your business owns everything. Everything is connected to the business, right? So if something happens to your business or someone comes after your business, guess what? They have access to all that asset and all that stuff. So the proper way to do this is to form an LLC. And so basically what the LLC does, it creates a separate person, like it's like an individual, it's like an invisible person that you're creating. So whenever you form the LLC, they give you an EIN number. So the EIN number is like it's like a social security number for that business. So it's a separate number just for that business. And guess what? You work for that business. So for example, like if someone were to sue, let's say a Home Depot, right? And you work for Home Depot, if someone sues Home Depot, they're not going to come after your stuff because you work for Home Depot. So that's the same way you want your business structure. You want to work for your business, okay? So the LLC will help you within that process, and that way it protects your assets. And plus, too, like whenever you have an LLC set up, there's a lot of tax advantages that will help you on your taxes. So an LLC is going to be the way to go if you're looking to form a business or you're looking to grow your business. If you currently have a business and you're a DBA, you really want to consider going to a LLC within maybe this year. It's not very hard to do. If you reach out to the Alliance Group, we can actually guide you in the right place to get that set up for you. Okay. The systems, right? The systems is going to be very important because, without the systems, I always like to refer to systems as like, let's say, like I'm gonna use a car for example, right? That car has a system on it, right? The system is like the motor's connected to the transmission is connected to the drive shaft is connected to the axle is connected to the title. So that drivetrain system moves you forward, right? And the way you monitor that drivetrain system or you monitor that vehicle is through the front dashboard. Okay, well, your systems help the machine, the business run. Okay, the systems help the machine operate smoothly, right? And out of those systems, you come up with a dashboard. The dashboard is probably going to be, if you're, one of them is going to, one of the systems that you have to operate is the QuickBooks system. The QuickBooks tracks all the income, all the expenses, all your assets, all your liabilities. It tracks everything for you, and then you report. You get a report, and the report is the same thing as a dashboard on a car. Like, the report shows you how the machine is performing, what needs to be fixed, what areas are in jeopardy, what areas need to have improvement, right? So the systems give you the dashboard, and the dashboard help you make better business decisions, right? So one of them is going to be the QuickBooks. That's gonna apply for any business. You want to make sure that you have the QuickBooks set up to get your profits and loss, to have your expenses, to track your income, to allocate your resources, whatever the case. The QuickBooks is going to be the way to do that. Okay. The next one, if you're running an automotive shop, is you want to have an estimating system. The estimating system is going to be, I talked to several shop owners, and they still don't have an estimating system. And whenever we break down numbers, I said, okay, let's talk about this job that you did. Let's break down this number. How long did it take you? Who did you pay to get it done? How much material did you spend? And so after we break it down, you know what? It comes out they're not making any money because they don't have an estimating system to calculate this in advance. So what the estimating system does, it just breaks down like what everything's going to cost and how much everything is. Because look, it's kind of like, let's say you're going to go build a deck on a house, right? And you ask the client, how big do you want the deck? Okay, I wanted a 10 by 10 with the roof, right? And you're like, okay, it's gonna cost you $5,000, right? And so you're like, man, $5,000 is a lot of money. I'm gonna make $5,000, right? Well, you go, well, let me go buy the wood. And you're like, man, the wood's $2,000, right? So now you're down to $3,000. You're like, man, I'm gonna make $3,000. But then you're like, oh shit, you know what? I forgot to that I need concrete pillars. So now you're like, okay, now I gotta buy concrete. Okay, that's another $1,000, right? And you're like, oh shit, you know what? I need to pay someone to do it, right? So, but you never estimated how much the job's gonna cost to begin with. So as you're going through the job, you're just spending this money, okay? And yes, it sounded like a lot of money, but whenever you break it down, you realize that out of that $5,000 job, maybe you're making $1,500. What your profit margin should have been more, but because you didn't have an estimating system, you weren't able to calculate that. So if you had an estimating system, you can say, hey, you know what, on this job, let me calculate, the material, let me calculate the labor, let me calculate, maybe if you have to subcontract anything out, any kind of fees, any kind of dump fees, any kind of hazardous fees, any kind of transportation fees. Like you get to kind of break all that down, so you can actually get an idea, a clear idea, clear number on what your profit margin should be. Okay, so the estimating system is going to be very helpful, because a lot of times when we're in the automotive industry, we just kind of like want to give a number and go. And a lot of times, the number sounds good, but after you break it down, it's not so attractive, So those are the things I want to share with y'all. And if y'all have any questions, please drop the questions in the comments. I want to hear y'all's feedback, and I appreciate all the support we have got with our Alliance group. If you haven't heard about the Alliance group, it's a group of guys in the automotive industry. And every week we have one-on-one calls with each of them, and we work through different obstacles within their business to help them get to a better place. And so a lot of times, a lot of the obstacles that business owners are running into are really obstacles that have already been solved with other businesses. with other business owners. And so what we do is we connect a lot of people, we give a lot of resources out there, and we just help you get to that next level. So once again, guys, thank you for watching, and make sure you look out for our next webinar. We should have another one next Saturday. If not, we'll have it during the week. But if you're interested in connecting anytime sooner, definitely send me a message on Instagram at @thusstanmedina, and I'll get you connected to the alliance, and we'll get you in. You know, I'll give you a free spot to check it out for a couple calls or something, or we'll get on a live call, and we'll kind of unpack some more of what the alliance offers and how much value it can bring to your business. All right, guys. Till next time.